About airplane pilot?
No, like they're from World War II.
I don't know how it is, but I'm gonna lose the momentum. We're in a good flow.
Yeah, but it's not easy. I've
It's not
experienced.
easy.
So it's basically your health.
Yeah.
So as soon as it gets to your health, like you're like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm
Yeah.
more important than dentistry. In the last 5 years, things have turned out in ways that I could not comprehend even in my dreams.
Our priority is changing. And the things that used to stress me out now, I'm like, yeah, I don't care about it anymore.
Everyone, even after they succeed, they always try to position it in a way that it was very hard to get here. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
10 years?
Yeah.
Honestly, I still like,
Wait, before you go, am I going to be there?
you're not going anywhere, brother. You're the Donald Trump of the group.
I don't like Trump. Don't keep saying that. When things get still and nothing is changing. Like, I love challenging jobs. Jobs that are like a routine, it really bores me out. And
Essentially becoming somebody else for the moment, but after that, you're going back to the reality of really who you are when you're by yourself. And those are the moments that matter the most when you're by yourself and you're like, what am I doing? Those are the type of conversation that I enjoy when I am by myself in a place. I want to like graduate in like 2 years so I can apply to dental school. And like I would do it, but then I would like not do well in the class. Or sometimes, man, like like me, I'm sure, like other dentists feel the same way. Some days, man, we might feel like, man, I don't want to do it. I'm done. I don't want to do this, right? I don't want to go in and put another filling in the patient's mouth or do another crown prep. But you're gonna do it, right? Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dentment, a podcast. I am going to introduce myself while Masood is fixing his internet. Masood, is the internet fixed?
all fixed, man. It's all.
So-
If not, you'll just get disconnected in the middle.
It's okay, Masood. Your internet is perfect.
People have seen me for a while now. They can imagine me if it was I.
You can just close your eyes and imagine Masood.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, everyone, this is second Milan and Masood special. We'll give a shout out to Mr. Steve. Mr. Steve said, you guys should not do this again. So we'll do it in the honor of Mr. Steve.
Shout out to Steve.
I know. Shout out to Mr. Steve. And I got new headphones. Master said I look like what'd you say, Master? Airplane pilot?
No, like they're from World War II.
I don't know what it is, but okay, Master. Now you want me. Now you like me take it off. I was just tired of those big headphones.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so I was like, I'm going to downgrade to something smaller. But yeah, man. So me and Masood, we were like, what are we going to talk about? And Masood said something that I think is very interesting. Masood, what did you say we're going to talk about?
Staying active.
Staying active. That's true. That's
Not
so,
being, what do you call it? Not being disinterested or
yeah.
basically lose momentum. How to keep the momentum that you have. Because early when you start something, you have a lot of excitement.
That is true, man.
Just like
That's
you
so
did,
true.
doctor for dentistry, and now you've lost it. Like, Marty. So,
Man, we're still hustling, man. We're still hustling. Did not woke me up at 1:40 last night in the morning. He's like, hey, you want to pop on? I'm like, dude, it's 1:40 in the morning.
yeah, maybe
I'm
there's
like,
a
sure.
Yeah.
He's like, sure. I'm like, sure, I'll get on. Hey, man, we're not gonna lose the momentum. We're in a good flow.
Yeah, but it's not easy.
It's not easy, for sure.
I've seen a lot of people that start things out of excitement, and then after a while, they just get tired because,
Yeah.
every time you start something, you have some kind of imagination, kind of model that you make in your head that this is how it's going to work out and it's going to be amazing. And then when it turns out the other way and then things get hard, people usually give up like
Give
90
up.
times.
Yeah. So true, man. It's the same thing, I think, even in our field, man, in the field of dentistry, I think that the idea of like that, just that burnout, people say, oh, I'm burned out and I don't feel like doing certain things. It's so true because like there's times that, man, I get tired of like doing the same thing, doing dentistry all day. So it gets pretty tiring at a time.
And how do you keep going?
Hey, I just got to keep at it. There's no stopping it, man. I just tell myself, you know what? I work way too hard to get here. Just got to keep pushing. There's days that are harder than the others, but just got to keep pushing forward. There is no stopping it. So it's just one of those things where you just put your head down and stay focused and
Hmm.
just get going and, change the momentum. That's how you get the momentum going. I always think about how hard I had to work to get to that point. So I'm like, I just got to keep going. There's no stopping it.
Have you heard this statement that everyone has a price and pretty much everything has a price?
Yeah.
So how hard should it get for you to stop dentistry? And don't say nothing can stop me.
Yeah, no, no, absolutely. Man, honestly, I think the day that mentally I'm not able to handle it anymore, that's the day that I'll stop. Because I think for me, like I always prioritize my mental health over everything. So, I mean, if there's even days that I feel like I'm not mentally there to go to the to office or practice, I just simply just say, hey, like I'm not down to work today, or I'm not mentally ready to like work today. I always try to find a replacement doctor to put in my place, because I think I definitely hold myself accountable for that, because yeah, dentistry is one of those things you're not really like dealing with, yeah, people's life and stuff. I mean, it's not like you're not doing anything crazy, but you're still responsible for patient. You're still responsible for the well-being of the patient. So I feel if I'm not mentally there to provide my best for the patients, I step back and I'm like, hey, I can't. And that's just, again, like it comes down to that accountability. And that's just kind of how it is. I think we talked about it just before we get on. I want to know, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with, like, I know you're with Allo AI, you probably had the excitement, and I'm sure there is days that you're like, man, I don't know what I signed myself up for. You want to stop. How do you get going?
That's a very interesting notion that you just mentioned. So it's basically your health.
Yeah,
So as soon as it gets your health, like you're like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm
yeah,
more important than dentistry,
yeah,
than the work I do. For some people, it's even not that. Like they like the work that they're doing so much that even they fight against their own health.
yeah,
If they have started, you've seen those kind of people, right?
yeah, absolutely.
And it's usually those kind of people that whatever field they get into, like there are usually several people at the very top that they had the exact same characteristics that nothing could stop them. Nothing was really a price for them. And they rather keep going than, anything affect their health or affect their mental situation or whatever.
Yeah,
And you see that they're usually people who are very successful,
yeah,
but they lack in other aspects of their lives. You can
100%.
always find that. Like sometimes could be very successful in their jobs, but they're not doing very well with their family or with their friends, with
Yeah,
their connections, with their network,
absolutely.
and in every other aspect as well. Like you could
Yeah,
find someone that's very rich, but that guy couldn't take care of his health. And right now, I don't know, maybe he's on a wheelchair or something. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You get my
yeah,
point.
absolutely, man. I actually know a lot of people that are like, from the outside, they look like super rich, and you're like, oh man, they're happy. Like my dad had a friend, and like we were always used to talk about him. Oh man, like he got 10,000 square foot house, and he's like doing this, he's doing that. But like 5 years later, he got divorced, lost everything. But you never know what people go through behind closed doors. I think that what we visualize from the outside doesn't really represent what's going on the inside. And I think a lot of time, people that are successful, they don't really know how to, maybe I don't want to say they don't know, but I think they sacrifice a lot of things along the way for that success. And I think a lot of times it's a good thing to step back and just say, hey, like, I'm not okay. I just need to stop and just like not do this to myself. And I have this conversation with other doctors too. Like, I think, especially in our profession, I think it's so important in the dentistry field. It's so important to like realize when you're not okay and just step back. Because if you don't, then you're just going to keep going and you're going to really, really hit the wall where you're going to be like, yo, like you're going to hit your breaking point. And when they say, oh, like you get that 2 year burnout, it's true, because some days for me, man, like, same thing. Like I was so excited when I graduated. I was like, man, I want to work 12, 13 hours a day. There are some days, man, I practice for like 3 hours. I'm like, man, I'm ready to go home. So it's like, some days it gets like that where it's just so tiring, man. But you got to find that motivation and keep going.
Yeah, man. And the kind of people that I can never deal with, I mean, they're very hard to deal with in business too, and in life, are those that sacrifice anything just for the sake of money. Like some people's passion is just money. It doesn't
Oh,
matter
yeah.
how you're gonna make
Yeah.
it. They just want to get there. And they do get there, they do get there, but once they get there, like, they lose their personality. They lose
Yeah.
many things.
Yeah.
They're people that you can't really work with.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes it hard, man. It makes it hard for
Yeah.
sure.
I'm sure both of us and anyone watching this has seen those kind of people in their life.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I think the statement that said that money change people is truly the fact. Like money and success can change a lot of people in a ways that it may not be good. And I think a lot of time we don't realize it, but yeah, there are people that I have run into that are like, the money has changed them by so much that you're like, is this the same person? And you don't realize that, like, wow, like they changed so much.
And it's
But
kind of controversial because some people say money doesn't change you.
no, it does for sure.
They just show your true self.
Yeah, no, money for sure. I think at least the people I know. I mean, I don't want to just like be like everybody's the same way, but I think I have met a lot of people that I knew like in maybe a few years back that like had nothing and then they became something, and then their personality changed, their ego took over, and then they're just simply like somebody else. Now I used to like there's always this quote that I kind of that I always have in mind to say it doesn't cost anything to be nice. And it doesn't matter how like famous you get, it's always good to be nice. I'm like, you have to be, like, you can't like, because I always tell myself, like, I came from nothing. Like my parents like didn't have money, and that's reality of my life. Like I came to this country, my parents didn't have money. So I know and understand the feeling of not having the money. And now that I'm like, all right, like I have some money, I never forget where I came from. Because
How
if
much
you,
that has changed you.
I'm sorry?
And you see how much that has changed you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like my perspective hasn't changed. I'm still like, I still know in back of my mind that you can lose things overnight, man. Like it never, I don't think in this life, anything, especially when it comes to money and all that, it's like you can lose it in a matter of seconds. It's just nice. I know, and we've seen that all the time. Man. Like, look what happened to that famous rapper P Diddy. Like, he lost his whole life in front of his blink of his eye. He just lost everything. He's sitting in jail. He's like lost billions of dollars and all that. So the money to me, it doesn't mean anything, man. As long as you know how to treat people and you're good to people, that's all what matters.
Yeah, that's a good mindset to have, but I don't know. I think it's up to our parents and our environment to teach us that.
Absolutely. I think a lot of it has to do with that. But I think a lot of it has to do with the fact a lot of people, their parents are nice to, but then their mindset changes when they get somewhere. And if we have the ability to kind of stay on task and not let little money change who we are, then that would be a good thing. Because then we
And
can
it
always,
really depends on how you get there. Because if you make the money yourself, then the chances are by the time you get to the point that you have money, you are way more knowledgeable. And the more knowledgeable you are, the less ego you have. I mean, there's a
absolutely.
difference between ego and confidence. You are confident, but you're not an egomaniac.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you're just given the money, or I don't know, maybe you're not even given, you do something and then you quickly get rich. Like in a year, you go from $0 to, I don't know, multiple $1 million. And then that's the area that's you don't have enough knowledge for that much money that you have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the life journey is kind of shapes you you have that, like you said, if you have that hard life and you get to the money, then I think you value that money more, and then you don't let it kind of like change who you are deep down, because then you know what that struggle was like, and you kind of like value it. You kind of value the momentum that you have. Like you value your success a lot more because you know how much you struggled to get to that point. And I think that has been one of my motivation is to like, I always go back and just ask myself like, what was one thing that I always needed it when I was like applying to dental school, or I was like trying to get into dental school, or whatever it was. Then now, whenever like anybody reaches out to me for help, I always like put myself, I'm like, oh man, that was me just not long ago. And I try to like help them out because I think you have to do it. You just gotta not forget that it was just not like 5 years ago, that was me.
Well, that means that you have grown with your money. Like it wasn't just your money that you also grew with it. And, There's this thing called in Persian, I don't know how to translate it.
Say it in Farsi, Mas.
Capacity. You have the capacity of having that much money.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hope as we're growing and growing more, Master, I hope you don't change.
Man, I'm already on the way. There's $10 million waiting for me.
I'm saying, imagine like 5 years from now, they're gonna pull up this podcast. They're gonna be like, "What happened to these two dudes?
Look at them.
Look at them. They were sitting here all humble talking about it, and now they don't even answer their phones." They're
Um,
gonna be like, "Look at these two fake people."
we'll see. We don't even know. I don't know. Everything has a price, right? So for you to change, there's a price for that. For you to change in the way that people wouldn't like you and you'll be, sorry to say that, you'll be an a-hole to them.
Yeah,
There's a price. So maybe if tomorrow someone gives you like 10 million or 20 million, you'll be an a-hole. No one knows. Or I'll be an a-hole.
Master is gonna be like, you gotta go in the back of the line. You gotta call my assistant. Have my assistant call my other assistant.
Yeah, I'm gonna make an AI that you'll have to call. Make your reservation.
You gotta make a reservation. You gotta, like in Delhi, you go take a number and go in the back of the line till your number gets called. Number 67. Soon is ready for you.
Well, we'll see. No one really knows how things turn out. I mean, at least in my life, I know everyone has that. In the last 5 years, things have turned out in ways that I could not comprehend even in my dreams.
Absolutely.
Both good and bad. Like
Absolutely.
bad things happen that I couldn't even imagine these things would happen. And also good things at the same time.
Absolutely. I
There's
think
no
that's
way.
just life.
Yeah, exactly. That's just life. Everyone's like that. So you never know where you're gonna go.
Yeah. Well, I hope no more bad, man, because I can't handle it. I think I had enough of bad stuff.
What is bad to you, Mila?
You know what? I don't want to say bad, but like for me, I think like I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have shared this, but for me, I think the bad would be really going forward. I think the health is one of the most important thing. I think as long as I stay healthy, I forgot that if one day you get a bad news that like you have something bad that is like not curable or something like that, I think that's bad. Everything else doesn't really. Everything else is replaceable. I don't. At this point in my life, I don't think there's anything that can happen to me that is just gonna shock me. I mean, obviously, lose of a loved one or a family or something, that's like another bad thing. But I think just anything that that is not curable, that's what's really like for me. That's what's bad. I didn't share this with anybody, but like I lost my sister to cancer, so like that kind of things, yeah, that kind of stuff is always like for me. It's been like one of those like that was bad. That's one of those things that is bad because you're like the feeling of like things that are just like that's one of those experiences where there's no coming back from it because the feeling of it, and that's what I'm always scared of. That I'm like, oh man, like that's bad, but like for me, like nothing else really matters. I mean, the money is replaceable, the stuff, cars, all that is replaceable. I think the health is one of those things that is like just bad.
Am I replaceable too, Mila?
Huh?
Am I replaceable too?
There's only one Masood. That's it. Well, I told you my dad name is Masood too. So
Well, okay. So I'm already replaced.
no, there's one Masood, but the Masood from Mashhad is the only. Yeah,
But
man. Like
yeah,
I said, yeah. For me, I think health is just the things that are just like not curable. That you can't come back from those kind of things. You can't come back from. You get the news of like, man, this is like not curable, or you can't do anything else about this. That's the stuff that I'm just like, man, I freaking hate those kind of things. But everything else doesn't really matter. I think, like you mentioned, like I grew up with my life that I'm just like, I lost, like I told you, I think we talked about this. Like, dude, I was on the edge of like bankruptcy in my early teens. Like, I lost everything. So it was like I have experienced it even in my 30s. I already experienced bankruptcy. I experienced everything. So I'm like, nothing else really bothers me at this point because I came back from those things and like I'm in a place that I could never imagine even like I was gonna be.
yeah. I mean, there's always a ground, and as long as there's a ground, I can always stand up.
But yeah, yeah. I think that was something I think you mentioned before as well. It's like, or maybe we talked about it in one of our podcasts, but the power of like not falling backward or falling forward, man. I think that's so important in life. And I always realize that like I don't want to fall backward. I want to fall forward. If I'm gonna fall, I'd rather fall forward. Because that way, if you fall backward and you don't get back up, that's the hardest part. But if you're falling forward, at least you know you have a chance at like crawling yourself out of something, right? Some people just fall backward and they just don't even crawl and they just get stuck and they don't, they don't change their momentum and they just stay where they're at.
Yeah, it's the thing that so many people, the reason like wherever they are, they're really not feeling good and they always want more or they feel like underaccomplished. It's because they too much zoom in on themselves rather than
Yeah.
the big picture. Like they think that the whole world is just the path they're following. They don't know even if they like go to bankruptcy or if they go all back to the zero, like this is a huge world. Like
Yeah. Yeah, man. When I was like coming out of my situation, I read so many different things. Like, dude, people come out of worse things than just, the money situation. Like, people come out of like cancer treatment. People come out of like, crazy accidents that they couldn't walk. And like, people come out of those kind of things. Like, finance, money, those things are replaceable, man. Like, I always tell people, I'm like, don't let those kind of things stress you out. Like, because there's much more important things to stress out about than those kind of things. So
yeah, I mean, it totally makes sense, but you need to really zoom out to be able to see that. That's
for sure. But like you said, man, we grow as we age, right? So we're aging. I think we're kind of getting mature with our life experiences, like the things we experience. We are
you
kind of
know,
like our vision and our view of the world changes with it too.
I don't necessarily think that growth has a static relationship with the age because some people they grow in age, but they don't grow in personality, and you see some other people
Absolutely, I
that they are
agree.
much younger, but their personality is like 10 years ahead of them. I've seen
Absolutely.
many of those kind of people.
Yeah. I'm not talking about in general the growth. I'm talking about like our vision of the world changes with at least for me, with my age, I feel like my view of the world and my priorities has changed. Like I think Dr. Jeff brought this up. Like every stage that in our life where we're at, like our point of view of life changes. And I think that's not necessarily growth, but I think our priority is changing. And the things that used to stress me out now, I'm like, yeah, I don't care about it anymore. So yeah, like I'm not gonna stress about my staff like not having a Sprite to drink.
You already have that. Yeah, growth is really a measure of experience, how much experience you've had, and
Yeah,
how much failures you've
yeah,
through, because that's really what makes you grow. You can sometimes find some kids that they are only 19, 20, but they've been through so much
so
hardship
much. Yeah,
that when you talk to them, you feel like you're talking to a 40-year-old man.
absolutely,
And
absolutely,
at the
man.
same time, you can talk to a 40-year-old and feel like this is just like a 15-year-old,
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Dude, every time I talk to you, I feel like I'm talking to like a grown 50-year-old person.
60-year-old.
You're full of knowledge, Massive. You're full of hair and full of knowledge.
Yeah, I always dye my hair so it doesn't show white. I'm afraid of the age.
Yeah, I dye my hair to show to show blood.
I only got 5 years left, so let's make these 5 count.
Hey, I sent you my picture. I used to have a hair just like you, man. Don't jinx it, Massive. You may get here one day.
Man, you scare me a lot because you
No, man,
got
just
that many into dentistry and now I'm here.
think it's so funny, man. I always like it's now that I have like no hair, everybody's like, man, you look so good like not having hair. It looks good on you. It's like don't have hair anymore. I'm like, and then I look at my own pictures. I'm like, I wish I had my hair.
Oh, you look like Dwayne Johnson right now.
I don't know about that.
Yes, you do.
Well, I don't have his body, that's for sure. Maybe if I inject myself 6 kilogram of a steroid every day, maybe then
Well, that guy got the body, you got the brains. Similar terms.
he got the body and the brain. He got more money than me. So
It's not about the money, dude. It's not about
I
the
know,
money.
I know.
Yeah.
Just things like, but
One day we'll
I
doing
like
that.
it's so funny how like we measure the success based on the money and nothing else. That's insane how our mind just kind of programmed that way sometimes.
No, the money could come to you from your dad. You could inherit it. Like
Yeah, for
so
sure.
many kids in the world, but that's not a measure of success.
I don't think so either.
I think success to me is how many failures you've had.
So true. So true, Master. Yeah. I love that. I every time like me and you talk, I just love you mentioning that because it's just is a reminder that in life, the measure of success is based on how much we fail, because you learn so much from those failures, man. Like I don't think I value failure so much in life as a person. I look forward to like failing at something because I learned so much from those failures that I think it makes shapes me to like even I come out of it and I'm a much better person for it, and that's why like
Literally growth. Like you
yeah,
grow,
it's a growth. Yeah.
really grow.
That's why, like, I think we talked about it last time with like the whole idea of like when you talk about dentist, I'm like, man, even if you fail at one thing, we're gonna pivot and figure it out. And then because we're gonna learn from those failures, we're gonna learn from the things that we're not doing right. I think it's just like it's part of the journey, but I love it, man. I think every time I failed at something, I learned so much.
No, I mean, the more you go towards failures, the more you succeed. I think
Absolutely.
that's the way to do that. It's kind of paradoxical because people usually think people that are successful, they've had a lot of success in the past. That's really not. They've had a lot of failures in the
Yeah.
past, a lot of success.
Yeah.
The
I,
success have been only a few that's really worth.
yeah,
There
for
has been
sure.
many failures before those few successes.
Well, if you remember, we had Dr. Mohammadi on our podcast. He said, dude, like, he's like, I tried so many different things. And he's like, oh, yeah, I tried it. All you need is one thing. And that one thing just has to work. And then,
Yeah,
like he said, man, like he opened a practice in New York. He failed, went to Connecticut, then started all over again. Like, it's just part of the journey. Like, you fail and you learn so much and you come out of it because you're going to learn from those things and you learn from those, like, mistakes that you make and all that. So,
exactly. And every
yeah,
time you succeed, I rather it rather than a like a one-time thing. I rather it have had many failures before that, like 10 failures before that, until the 11th time worked, rather than having it on the very first trial.
absolutely. Absolutely. Oh yeah. I think the idea of just like failure in general, I think gives you a type of experience that no one can teach you because you're learning something that is like, it's like you're going through life and you're learning from what you're doing rather than anything else. Because like you can't go to school for them to teach you what failure looks like. So you have to fail to learn.
Exactly. And some people, this is something me and Sina were talking about a while back. Some people have the illusion of failure. When they want to get something, they don't even try for it, and then they say we failed. But that's really not a failure. They didn't even try to fail.
Try. Yeah.
We have fake failures and we have true failures. Those
Yeah.
guys are experiencing basically the first one.
Yeah, I think yeah, because you have to essentially put your everything to it, and then you just say, okay, well, I did everything that I can, and then if I fail, I
Then I
fail.
failed. That's a
Yeah,
failure. That's very good. But when you don't even try and then at the end you say I failed,
yeah,
that's not a
that's
good kind of failure.
yeah,
Like, that's not gonna make it.
yeah. I think we talked about this. Like when I was always tell this story to anyone listening. It's like to the prospect dental students that are listening to this. Man, I applied to dental school 3 times. I was stuck behind that dental school doors for 3 long years. I was like, man, I am not giving up. I was like, I'm gonna keep applying. I'm gonna keep getting better. I'm gonna keep pushing. And I was like, I'm gonna give it all I have. And at least if I didn't get in, I can tell myself, hey, I tried. I gave it everything I had, and it just didn't work out. But hey man, at least like, and the other thing is just, it's so funny. Like after I got into dental school, like I was talking to the professor that actually interviewed me, and I said, hey, like what was the reason that you guys accepted me? I was really curious, and he's like, you're persistent. He's like, you were very persistent to like. You didn't give up. Like we like that you constantly apply. You applied. You applied. Like we like that idea. So it's like you just don't give up, man. Just keep going, and somebody will see your work. You see your hard work, and then just gonna pay off.
And now that you're a dentist, Milad, would you rather had it on the first trial? I
No,
mean, you would
I
have got
wouldn't.
like fail, fail, fail until you got into this.
No, man. I tell myself this every day. I wouldn't change nothing about my past to get me to this point. Nothing. I wouldn't change one single thing about my past at all because I feel like I got into dental school at the right time. I got out at the right time, and I had enough life experiences that I feel like I'm 20 years ahead of everybody else mentally. That's just a fact, because mentally I'm in the best place of my life that I can be. And like my path to what I'm trying to accomplish is so clear that if I would have got in let's say the first time around and I was in my my late 20s, I don't think I would have gone out. I don't think I would be as prepared as I am today. And also the other thing is like, I value the work that I do so much more because I know what it took to get here. So I value it so much more, man.
Exactly. And, that's something that I think everyone needs to have. That's the right kind of mindset because people are always so afraid of failures. They always run from it and they are very stressed when they're close to a failure.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, what if this doesn't work out? What am I going to do next? There's nothing left to do. That was the only one. This was my only chance. But they don't really realize, even after they succeed, everyone, even after they succeed, they always try to position it in a way that it was very hard to get here.
Yeah.
I failed so many times before I was finally successful.
Yeah.
Well, that's the real path. And I think people should embrace the failures. They should go towards it. They should do things for them to fail.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I think
That's the
any successful person you talk to or you listen to, at some point in their life, they failed so hard that they just had to come back up from it, and they came back so much better and so much harder. I honestly, like, even the people that I could always see, like, even the people that would get into dental school like easy, even when they were in dental school, they would just wouldn't, they didn't value the experience, like, I would see, like, there was a guy in my class, man, he applied to dental school like 7 times. And that guy, like, man, when I tell you he was involved and he was like, he would take advantage of every single opportunity that came his way, he just did it. And there was like people that just applied the first time, got in. They didn't do anything in dental school. They were never part of anything. They never did anything. They were never involved in anything. But man, that guy did everything. Anywhere the school was doing something, he was there because he just valued it so much more. He just valued his work so much more, and you could just see the passion he had for it. So it's just like you can see the difference in people's eyes, man, when they go through those kind of experiences.
Yeah, Milad. I mean, every time that we talk to a dentist, there are basically two types of dentists to you. Dentists that their fathers was a dentist and dentists that their fathers was not a dentist. Every time we talk to one, you're like, oh, this guy, his father was a dentist, and then he just followed that path. It was easy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say it's easy for them. Some people are just, I mean, they have their own challenges as well. I don't want to say it's easy, but you don't have the same disadvantages because you essentially, like, when you have your family member is a dentist, you have somebody that's going to mentor you through that process. Like, I was the first one in my family that went to school that had a degree. So it's like, I didn't really have anybody to tell me, hey, do this, do that. Like, I just had to do everything on a trial and error basis to figure it out, right? But I think when you have somebody that can walk you through that process, it makes such a big difference. That's why I'm so like, I think even with Dentman, that's why I was like, hey, like, I want to add like the pre-dental student section to the website because I think I want to be able to like mentor somebody to say, hey, like, how was your experience with the DAT? How was your experience here? Because you can empower so many people with that, man. And I think it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now that you're here, Mila, now that you're a dentist, you have a path, like your path is way more clear than it was like 10 years ago. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
10 years?
Yeah.
Honestly, I still, like,
Wait, before you go, am I going to be there?
you're not going anywhere, brother. You're gonna stuck with it for the rest of your life.
Let's come back to this episode 10 years later and see if it will be.
No, man. So I honestly, man, I think I told you this. Like, I value my relationship with you so much. I think I told you guys. I mean, I probably said this the last time, and I said this every time. My relationship with you guys, with you, Sina, Hossein, I'm truly humble. You guys are amazing people. I'm so blessed to have you guys in my life. Like I said, man, nothing. I don't think gonna change that. My dad always tells me this. Like, I have a heart that is like, when I commit myself to have a relationship with somebody, I'll go all out for them. So with you guys, I'm all game with you guys, man. I'm not going anywhere.
Thank you, good sir. It's all the same. It's
Yeah.
exactly the same for all of us.
Yeah, man. Going 10 years, honestly, for me, Masood, like, my goal is really to create a pathway for myself. Like you said, I don't see myself like financially. Yeah, I want to be in a better place, right? Because I want to be able to provide for my parents, for my wife, for family, everything, whatever, right? But the biggest thing is like, I just want to have an impact. I want to have a positive impact to whatever it is that I'm doing. You know, if it's with patients, if it's with, you know, with future dentists, with dental students, with people in general, man, just being able to like create a pathway to give back in whatever way. I think that's what's important, man. I think that's what I want me to be. I want to be able to look back and say, man, like the last 10 years, I've done so many positive things. I think for me, that's what is success to me is. It's just like being able to change lives and doing good things for the society, man. I think that's what I see. That's what I see success as. I don't think that the money is fine, whatever. Like you'll make money, you're gonna be comfortable. Having the legacy of saying, like, man, I was able to like touch this many people and I was able to do some good. That's where I really want to go. Like that's really where my heart is at, and I hope that I can do it in whatever ways that it is.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the right path. And like before you go to dental school 15 years ago, you couldn't have known that, you're going to end up as a dentist and you're going to be here.
Yeah,
But it was your persistence that got you through this. And you had this dream of becoming a dentist. And now you are a dentist. So this might as well, like very much.
oh yeah,
Because you don't
absolutely, man.
keep pivoting and you keep going. And you get a
Absolutely.
nice group of people around you, not to mention.
Hey, I have mastered. I can do anything.
Yeah.
Mastered, everything is possible. I told you,
Massive.
right? I told you, you're the Donald Trump of the group.
I don't like Trump. Don't keep saying that.
Don't say that, Matsu. Hey, you
Well,
were just complaining about Canada's taxes, man. We need you guys to become a 51st estate. He was just talking about that yesterday. Man, I love
you know,
Trump because it's a comedy.
I'm not a Canadian yet, but I'm sure even if I was a Canadian, I would very much love to be an American rather than a Canadian. I don't think anyone would love to be a Canadian.
Oh, man. No, you know, it's so funny. I don't know what it is, but like I don't know. Like I had classmates that came from Canada to like go to dental school in the US. And yeah, a lot of them said the same thing. They're like, yeah, they came and they just stayed. They didn't go back. They're like, we're just gonna stay. I don't know what it was, but I went to Canada one time and never again.
Where'd you go?
I went to Toronto and then
Toronto is
we
worse.
I know
It's home.
it's massive. I gotta tell you this story, and for everybody that's listening, please laugh as hard as you can. Man, we passed the border from US and we went to Canada. I got pulled over like 5 miles into the ride in Canada, and the police pulled me over. It's like, where are you going? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm going to visit my brother. I'm like, it's like, dude, you're going like 100 plus, like, I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm going the speed limit. He's like, bro, it's like kilometer.
You were going at miles, right?
I was like, oh my God, man, it caught me off guard by so much. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, man, Canada is kilometer. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I can't do miles either. Like everything here is kilometers.
Yeah, man. I was like, me and my friend were in the car. We were like cracking up, man. And I told the cop, I was like, man, I live in the US. Everything is miles. My car is a mile. But like, you can look at my kilometers. Oh, yeah, you're right.
But is the speed limits in the US like 100 miles?
No, it's like,
Oh,
so
but you just saw it 100 and then you thought it's
yeah,
miles.
because on the thing it said like 100, whatever, 30, but I was like saying it's a kilometer. I was like booking it, man.
Dude, that's like 160 kilometers an
I
hour.
know. It was like 140, it was like 70 miles, and I was going like 90, like 5 mile an hour. I was telling my friends, like, man, Canada is fun. You can come up here and freaking race. 2 minutes into the ride, I see blue lights behind me.
That's
Cop is like, where are you going? I'm like, just going to Toronto, brother. We just passed the board, man. He's like, dude, you're booking it. I'm like, oh, God. But hey, he was super nice. He didn't give me a ticket.
he didn't?
Nah, he was like, because I told him, I honestly, I was like, man, I was like, because it was like my first time coming to Canada. And I was like, I'd never been to Canada. I was like, this is my first time being to Canada. And I was like, I have no idea. And back then I just turned like 21. And I told the guy, I was like, man, I just got my license. I have no idea. Like, I have no idea. I'm a new driver. I was like, I don't even know like US driving.
We're leaving you love.
Yeah. And then he's like, all right, man, that's fine. Just be careful. It's a kilometer. And then we were like sitting, trying to divide all the signs. What's the mileage is going to be? Okay, you can go 40, 45 climbing, 45 miles. Yeah, man. After that, I'm like, never again. Thank you.
Well, this time you were about to, but then you didn't.
I know, man. I'm actually like, I really, it's so funny. One of my friends, he told me that he came from Vancouver. He actually said he liked it, but I really do want to come to Canada to see you guys.
Yeah, man, Toronto, it's really not Toronto. It's more like Delhi.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Well, he told me Vancouver is nice, but he did say that you guys have a lot of homeless over there.
Well, yeah, you. Yeah.
It's
Nice
like,
to
man,
meet you.
it's like their homelesses have attitude too. It's like, I gave the guy $5, he gave the $5 back. It's
Yeah,
like,
Mila,
give me
this
a
is all
20.
fake background. I'm actually on the streets right now.
Oh man. Well no man, I gotta come to Canada to visit you guys and see what Team of Allo AI is all about.
Yeah, you'll see if we are AI or if we're actually here.
Well, Master, you're always working because you sent me the other day. You're like, man, like I'm just talking about keep going in business. I mean, you were just saying like the other day, you're like till 7 in the morning, you're sitting and just coding things. I'm like, that's crazy.
And it gets even crazier when you're coding till 7 a.m. and then
Yeah.
you're just dead and you're like, oh, shit, I have at least a month more of coding
Oh my
before anything
God,
changes.
that's
Yeah,
crazy, man.
that's crazy.
Yeah, I give you guys so much props for what you guys do because I would. I mean, even some of the stuff Sina was showing me, I'm like Sina, I love you, man, but I actually like I have no idea what you're showing me, but it's like passionately trying to teach you and stuff. I'm like Sina, I have no idea. I'm like I would love to understand what you do, but I don't.
Yeah, man, anyone is built for something.
Oh, for sure. But man, the computer stuff, it's amazing how it's just so much goes into it. Well, Master,
Well,
I gotta ask you the question. What do you think you're gonna be 10 years from now?
10 years is where I'm gonna be.
Like, what do you think life is gonna look like for you? Am
Hopefully
I
not
gonna be
homeless.
part
And
of it?
hopefully I'll have a home to live in, some food to
Stop
eat,
it.
a car to drive. But really, for me, I'm a very risk-taking person, and I'm usually not very good at keeping an infrastructure to rely on, but which is not very good. But at the same time, it opens you up for more opportunities.
Absolutely.
At the same time, it takes you to places that you've never been in before. Because if you just set up your infrastructure at one place, that's just where you're going to grow. You don't get to see the other places.
Yeah.
But so far, out of all the other infrastructures that I've had in my life, this one that I'm in right now, I've liked it the most. You know, it's really something that I can keep growing on. It's something that I can keep building on. And,
For sure.
just at least when I'm going to other places, I can already have a building here and then move to another infrastructure with more resources.
Absolutely.
And by resources, I mean the network, the kind of people that have been around, the kind of people that I met, starting from you, Dr. Mila.
Thank you.
So I really hope within the next 10 years, I've really built something in this infrastructure. I don't know if I'm still going to be here or not. I don't know if I'm totally going to be just dedicated to what I'm doing right now. But at least I hope I've built something. I provided some value. I made some change before I
Yeah,
move on to the next thing.
for sure.
And I hope that, the circle of people around me just keep growing because the quality of the people that I've met so far, it's been unimaginable for me. Like, I
Sure.
didn't really think I would get to this at this stage of my life. I'm an immigrant. It's been a little less than 4 years that I'm here in Canada. And 4 years ago, if you told me back when I was in Iran, I came from a very religious family. I used to have my prayers in these things called masjid. You know what they are? Every day.
Every day, Master?
Man, that was a rule from my mom. I had to do it every afternoon. I told you, I guess, or not. I memorized the Quran, and then I used to go to these things, these kind of meetings that people sit around and they recite it. And then if you told me 4 years ago that Masoud, 4 years later, you're gonna be here in this situation doing these things, I would have been like, shut the f up. Like, are you crazy or what?
I'm gonna be in Canada going to strip clubs and drinking.
I hope my mom doesn't get to see this meal. Huh? Well, actually, I'm lucky because she doesn't know any English.
This is like Rick Goss going up.
But yeah, I mean, just in the next 10 years, I hope that I've done something in here and I've
Absolutely.
made some fundamental change. One thing that's not doable for me, I mean, my price that changes me is when things get stagnant, when things get still and nothing is changing. Like, I love challenging jobs. jobs that are like a routine, it really bores me out. And when I'm bored out, I just stop working. It's just no more interesting for me because I always, like I taught myself back when I was 16, 17, that the world is very big. It really is.
It
Like, I'm
is.
just not talking about this world, but you know that we're living in a universe that's,
It's so
billions
big.
of light years
Yeah,
apart, many planets, many stars out there. It's just so big that you can't comprehend. Like, you're just like not even at the size of a molecule to this whole world.
yeah,
You're even way smaller than that.
for sure.
And within our world, there are 8 billion other people, and there are so many things that are getting done every day, so many new technologies that are coming out, so many great achievements that people make, great discoveries. And the thing is, I just want to be part of it. Like, I want to be able to provide a fundamental change to these things
Yeah,
that after I'm not here, after I'm gone, at least people would remind me of something because of, not just because of me, but because of the path I was on
that
and
you
because of
done.
failures I had and then the things that I could find out.
Yeah. No, I love that, man. That's so important. And I think early on in life, like you mentioned, just going back to what you said, I think for everyone that's kind of listening to this also, it's just step out of your comfort zone, man. Just getting too comfortable sometimes is life is not the best thing. So like you said, when things get too comfortable in life, you just get too boring. And
Mhm.
I think that mentality, just like you said just now, it's like just it
And then
gets boring.
I gotta tell you, it gets addictive after some time. Like I guess I told you the other time when it was just the two of us. When things are in peace and things are calm, I can't do it because my
Yeah,
life has been in pressure.
for
At least over
sure.
the last 5 to 6 years alone.
Yeah,
It's always been in pressure, and then when it's not, I'm like, what the heck? There's something wrong.
yeah,
There has to be something more. So it gets addictive, and then it really makes you grow a lot.
absolutely.
That's what I said. Growth is really a measure of how much experience you,
Yeah,
how many failures you've experienced in the past. So the more you put yourself out of your comfort zone, out of areas that you've never been in, it is more likely that you're going to have more failures. It is more likely that, you're just going to get effed up
for sure.
more. But that means growth. That means you keep growing up.
Yeah,
Maybe a year passes by, but you've grown by 4 years, 5 years,
yeah,
because you've put yourself in more experiences than a normal individual would experience in 1 year, 4 to 5 times those experiences. And then it just teaches you a lot.
absolutely. Yeah, man, I
And
couldn't agree with you more.
yeah, I think for me, the next 10 years, I don't know where I'm going to be financially. Right now, I was just kidding. I do have a home that I live in. I hope I would still have it. I wouldn't lose it then. You might be on another podcast 10 years later and just, like, yeah, Vancouver has a lot of homeless people. I was actually talking to one of them 10 years ago.
That massive.
Yeah, but I don't know, financially, I just plan to, make a good change and
Yeah, you
provide
will.
no matter where I'm at.
Yeah. I think, man, I tell you right now, Masood, like you see now, like, man, you guys impress me. You guys are in your early 20s and the things that you're accomplished even by now, you should be so proud of yourself for that.
It's not about being proud, Mila. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But I mean, we're just trying to put ourselves out there. I don't care
Yeah,
if I don't care, if people make fun of me or be like, "What's this kid doing here?" I'm just trying to put myself out there and fail. Something I
that's okay.
learned way earlier is that I'm not afraid of it. I'll
Yeah,
just go ahead. I might as well fail. Nobody cares.
nobody.
I don't.
Yeah,
Nobody else does.
yeah.
Why would I?
I think the one thing, Masood, is like, I mean, at least for me, the age that I'm in now, that's just a piece of like brotherly advice maybe to you, but just for anybody listening, it's like when I was younger, I always cared what people thought of me. But now I don't care at all. I don't care if people say anything about me, it just doesn't bother me. And I think that was like one of the main reasons why I was able to I was able to just say I'm gonna do this podcast because I don't care what people say or think of me because I'm just gonna just do it just to do it. Doesn't matter, right? And I think ultimately that's what this is about. You just have to step out of your shell to be able to grow. That's just what it is, man. So, like 2 or 3 months ago when we started this podcast, like we were like, we're just gonna do it, and we did it. People be coming on, like we bring in guests, we talk to people. Like you gotta put yourself out there, man, and not care about what anybody. Like nobody else's opinion matters. Nobody, man. I don't care what anybody says. Like because nobody else's opinion is gonna dictate how my life is gonna go. I dictate how my life is gonna go. So because people always gonna have opinion no matter what. So
And you know, Milad, you gotta be, wherever you are in life, you gotta be super realistic and honest with
yep,
yourself. Like some people, because they like very big things in life, they're like, I can't do this. And then they start imagining things. And when they're talking to other people, they start, putting themselves in positions that they are not. And then it gives them the satisfaction that they think they are. I've seen this from many of my peers.
yeah,
They're not honest with who they are and what they're doing right now.
but
Like they are afraid or they are ashamed of these things that they are doing. Like, I don't know, if like there's a kid that's like 20 years old and then he has a vision. He's trying to do something, but right now he's like, I don't know, doing Uber, or right now he's washing the dishes. He's
yeah,
afraid to say that. He's like everyone he talks to, he always tries to lie. I've seen
right,
that so many times. And they put themselves in the position that they dream of.
yeah.
They live in their dreams.
I
That
know
thing,
exactly what you mean.
yeah, man, that
Because
thing is,
I'm not gonna lie, I was that same kid. I always try when I was in my 20s, like, yeah, man, I'm this multi-millionaire. I got a brand new car. I'm chilling, brother. And then in reality, I was like working at an ice cream shop. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
yeah, man. So I'm just talking
At
to,
least you know what? Maybe somebody's a small vision at that time. It helps you get your head get bigger, and it just motivates you to want to actually get to a point where you're like, I'm somebody.
no, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with that.
There's
It's just
nothing.
that
Yeah.
everyone that I saw that had that kind of mindset, it's a long failure. They finally come to the realization that I just have to be honest with who I am.
Yeah.
I am who I am. If I'm
Yeah.
washing the dishes, I'm fucking washing the dishes.
That's it.
It doesn't matter what other people say. They come to this realization, but maybe after 2 to 3 years, after
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah. Because what is the point? Like I mean, like the thing is like, okay, like you're essentially becoming somebody else for the moment, but after that, you're going back to the reality of really who you are when you're by yourself. And those are the
Mhm.
moments that matter the most when you're by yourself and you're like, what am I doing? Those are the type of conversation that I enjoy when I am by myself in a place and I'm like, really what I'm doing, those are the conversation that matters to me because those are the time that the reality of my life kicks in. Not when I'm like talking to somebody else and talk about what I'm doing, right? Because I can over exaggerate everything that I'm doing. But when you are by yourself behind a closed door and you're having that real conversation with yourself, that's really when the reality kicks in.
And when you're not real with yourself, you don't even know what you want. Like I was talking to my other friend the other day, and then my friend was like, I just want money. Like I just want so much money. I'm like, dude, you don't understand the idea of money. You've never had money in your life. Like it's just like, I don't know, telling someone that has never, how can I put it? I gave him a very good example. I just can't remember. The things you haven't had, you cannot say I want them because you haven't even experienced them.
Experience.
That
Yeah.
kid was struggling with life, like with, basic living. I said, the only thing you want is for you to work on the things that you want to work on for you to improve. Because there are so many kids that they want to work on something, but then they are occupied with life. Like, they have a passion somewhere, but then they are hooked up somewhere else that they have to, for their basic living, they have to do a whole bunch of things just to keep that. And then it robs them from their true passion.
Yeah.
I was like, you just want a basic living. You just want to be settled to work on your passion. You don't want money, you know. But because he was seeing himself in those kind of unrealistic
Unrealistic. Yeah.
visualizations, he just thought, I want this. And they don't even know what they want. And
Get
that's just
disconnected from the reality, man. You get disconnected from what really life is about because you get stuck into this momentum of like it's just gonna happen no matter what. It's just gonna happen on its own, or it's just I'm not gonna do anything and I'm just gonna
exactly.
sit back and wait for it to happen. But they don't realize how much work you have to put in and like everything in this life, man, you gotta work for it. That's just the bottom line. Doesn't matter what it is. You wanna go learn the trade, you wanna go be something, you have to work hard at it. It
You
doesn't
have to
matter.
work. Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
That's as always they say, the hard way is really the easy way.
Yeah.
Because if you follow the easy way, you're going to fail. And
Yeah.
then you're going to follow another easy way, you're going to fail. And then at the very end, you're going to be like, oh, I have to do the hard way.
Yeah.
So the easy way is really the hard way, and the hard way is the easy way.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
No,
like,
that yeah, absolutely makes sense, man. That's why, like, they always say, man, like, you got to just go slow and steady and just follow the pattern and the step of things. And I experienced that firsthand when I was like in like early on in my college career. I was like, man, I got to take like 10 classes in the summer. I want to finish fast. I want to like do this. I want to like graduate in like 2 years so I can apply to dental school. And like I would do it, but then I would like not do well in the class or I would fail at it. And then my advisor would be like, Milad, like you gotta take your time. Like you can't just rush into things. And like those are the type of thing, man. I feel like you said, it's so true. Like I'm like, just you gotta follow the path of what is the way things need to be done. So that way it may take you a little bit longer to get to the finish line, but at least you're getting there in a way that you're supposed to. You can't take shortcut. There is no shortcut in life.
and it's because people focus on results
Yeah,
and the journey.
yeah.
They don't like what they're doing. They just like the idea of being that kind of person that has these things.
Yeah.
Like some people don't like making money. They just want to be rich.
Yeah.
They don't like what it takes to be rich.
They
You know
just
what I
want to
mean?
play. They just want to hit the lottery.
Exactly. They just want to hit the lottery.
Man, it's so funny. Every time we talk about lottery and we talk about like people just want to get rich. I had a barber in New York. I used to go get my haircut. And this guy always was playing this number lotteries. He had a book this big with numbers on it. I was like, man, the amount of money you spent in this book and all these numbers, if you would
There's
have
a
put that
lot.
money in a stock, you would have been a millionaire right now. Yeah, man. Some people just want to get there, but they just don't want to put the work in it. You got to work. I never believe in this bullshit of like people saying the people that are rich, they're just lucky. I don't believe that bullshit for a second. Every single person that has money, they work for it one way or another. Like
Well,
there's,
some people are lucky. You
well,
gotta
I mean,
admit.
yeah, like if you're like born in a family that has money, yeah, but like the people that struggle from like out the gate and they just work for something, they work for it. They really put the work in it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say like Jeff Bezos, for example, like he started from nothing, right? He started out of his garage, like Elon Musk or Mark Cuban, like all these people that work for what they have. It's just not like nobody didn't hand them anything. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. Like with you, like Allo AI, you just kind of like started from nothing and now you just keep working your way through it. Same thing with like me getting into that telescope. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you get some people get lucky here or there, but it's not always the case. I fully believe in the hard work, man. That's just my message all the time.
And Milad, I have personally experienced it. How much more pleasant it is for you when you get to that result, get to where you want to be, like let's say financially. I was in the crypto boom like 4 or 5 years ago. That everyone was just getting rich out of crypto because it was a uh pretty much an emerging space that not so many people have any idea how it's
Yeah.
going, and people that were in it earlier. I was in it. I was lucky to be in it earlier because of my dad. And I just happened to make quite a bit. And then I guess I told you I lost it all.
Yeah.
And then I got into Allo AI. And right now, even though the money that I'm making here is way less than the money that I had back there, but I appreciate this money way more. This is
Yeah.
way more pleasant for me than all of that lump sum money that I had back then.
Because it's something you create on your own with your hard work.
Exactly. It was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of failures that got me through this. And it taught me a lot. It really made me the person that I am today.
Yeah, man. I think those are the type of thing that matters in life. Like we said earlier, like those are the type of experience that matters so much more than anything else because the other stuff doesn't matter, right? Like you could have stayed in Iran and just keep doing the same thing, right? And never stepped out or never said, "Oh, I'm just gonna leave to go to like Canada to better my life." Just imagine if you wouldn't have done that and you would have just stayed where you're at. But you had to add some sort of hard work and some sort of dedication to want to step out of that comfort zone and want to kind of figure your own ways out.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's always a challenge. So going back to the idea of how to stay active, how would you, what's your take from everything we talked about?
My
How to,
take, my take is stay in the game. Stay in the game, man. Just
like,
find the motivation. Find the motivation. The one there was this thing that Mike Tyson said. He said, you gotta like do the things that you don't feel like doing sometimes, right? I don't feel like going to gym, but I'm gonna go, right? I don't feel like going to work, but I'm gonna go anyway, right? sometimes, man, like like me, I'm sure, like other dentists feel the same way. Some days, man, we might feel like, man, I don't want to do it. I'm done. I don't want to do this, right? I don't want to go in and put another filling in a patient's mouth or do another crown prep. But you're gonna do it, right? Because you have to do it. You have to dig deep and just do it. We're just gotta, we gotta just keep going. We gotta just, stay on that path that we talked about, right? Because there's always something better or something bigger waiting around the corner for us. We just gotta stay in the game.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's all it is all about. I think another thing to staying active is, really being realistic. That's the first thing. That's what I saw so many people got set back for. Also having a home, to live in.
That's a big one.
No home.
Um, home, I hope. Hey, hope, you gotta have hopes too, man. You can't give up on the hope. You
Yeah.
gotta have hopes and dreams. I said it was all the dream. You forget the biggie. It was all the dreams, like it was in the magazine. It was like it was always my dream because I saw a dentist in the magazine. I'm kidding.
Yeah, maybe you should be a rapper besides this. Rap to your patients.
Hey, maybe I should come up with creative ways, right?
Yeah, we don't have a rapper who's a dentist. Maybe you should apply for one.
Welcome to Dr. O's office. How you doing? We're doing extraction today. Well, Master John, thank you so much. As always, man, I always love for us to get on this podcast and just laugh and crack up and just have fun. And I really, truly enjoy it. Well, next month, when we're doing this, we're going to have a usual third party that her name starts with the M as well. I'm not going to blow the cover. Her name. So it's going to be triple M special
There we go.
starting next month. Well, we're gonna have a triple M special. Super excited for it. She's someone that I personally look up to, and I'm sure Master does too. Yeah, she's gonna join
Maybe
us.
we should change the name of the podcast to M Special or Group or M Gang.
We should like. No, man, I'll leave it at Deathman Podcast. That's what better. Welcome to another episode of the M Gang. I get shut down by the FBI real quick. Imagine two Iranian guys get on here. Welcome to M Gang. Well, Master John, thank you so much. We'll see you till next time, man.
Absolutely.
All right. Peace.